You're watching Skywatch Media News, and here's what's happening for the week of January 28, 2019. The International Disaster Database, abbreviated as EMDAT, has released its natural disaster statistics for the year 2018. According to the compiled data, there were 281 climate or geophysical-related disaster events for the year, resulting in the deaths of nearly 11,000 people, while directly affecting 61 million people across the planet. The majority of the casualties from these events were most attributed to earthquakes and from flooding events, including tsunamis. The most notable features of 2018 were intense seismic activity in Indonesia, a series of disasters in Japan, the floods in India, a very active year in volcanic activity and eruptions, and the effects of devastating wildfires. The number of recorded deaths caused by volcanic eruptions in 2018 was higher than the numbers for the previous 18 years combined. All of the events contained within the data continue to make headlines across the world. The following data is the approximate number of significant Earth events in each category that were recorded in the EMDAT files for the year 2018. Earthquakes and tsunamis have been the deadliest disasters in the 21st century, and this trend continues into this year. The bulk of the damage was in Southeast Asia, specifically in Indonesia and in Papua New Guinea. In early 2018, a string of earthquakes in Papua New Guinea created landslides that affected over 500,000 people, many of whom lived in remote highlands which were difficult to reach by aid and rescue operations. In Indonesia, the island of Lombok suffered multiple earthquakes, the deadliest being on August 5th. On September 28th, an earthquake triggered mud flows and a 20-foot tsunami on the island of Sulawesi, killing 3,400 people, making this the deadliest disaster of 2018. Every year, storms impact millions of people and create billions of dollars in damage. 2018 was no exception. Two major storms struck the United States: Hurricane Florence, which dropped historic amounts of rain on the Carolinas, and Hurricane Michael, with sustained winds of 155 miles per hour, becoming the strongest storm on record to hit the Florida Panhandle. Southeast Asia and Japan faced extensive damage from multiple storms in 2018, including Typhoon Jebi, which slammed into western Japan, becoming the strongest storm to hit the region in the past quarter century, followed by Typhoon Trami, which became the 6th Category 5 tropical cyclone of the year 2018. It is anticipated that storms, particularly due to the devastating Hurricane Florence and Michael and Typhoon Jebi, will be the costliest type of disaster of the year 2018. Floods have affected more people than any other type of natural hazard in the 21st century. In Somalia, over 700,000 people were affected by flooding, while in Nigeria, flooding impacted nearly 4 million people. In Japan, heavy rains triggered the deadliest floods since the year 1982. The August flooding of India's Kerala state was by far the largest flood event of the year, costing more than 500 lives and affecting more than 23 million people. Despite the increased number of volcanic eruptions recently, the activity rarely makes headlines. But here is something worth mentioning. In 2018, hazardous volcanic events resulted in more deaths than what has occurred in the previous 18 years combined. In June, the Volcán de Fuego eruption in Guatemala killed over 400 people and affected over 1.7 million. In late December, the eruption of Anak Krakatoa in Indonesia triggered a tsunami that killed over 400 people on the islands of Sumatra and Java. In the year 2018, 3 million people were affected by an ongoing drought in Kenya, Africa, while Afghanistan suffered a major drought that impacted 2.2 million people, causing the internal displacement of thousands. In Central America, droughts affected over 2.5 million people in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua, which coincided with international migration patterns. Across Europe, a hot and dry summer caused heat waves and drought conditions that affected farmers and health systems in numerous countries. The impact of droughts and extreme temperatures is having a profound effect on lower-income countries, resulting in the eventual displacement of millions of people in the affected regions. Across the world, the trend of devastating wildfires continued for the past couple of years. In 2018, the Attica fires in Greece killed an estimated 126 people, making it the deadliest wildfire recorded in Europe within the past 120 years. In the United States, the California wildfire season was the deadliest and costliest on record, with the Camp Fire killing 86 people in the northern community of Paradise, becoming the highest wildfire death toll in the country since the 1930s, while causing an estimated $16.5 billion in damage, the costliest wildfire event on record. Probably the most important statistics from the disaster database involves the total number of people affected by these disastrous events when compared to the average number for the first 18 years of the 21st century. Furthermore, the data is showing that floods, storms, and drought continues to be the highest rated factor in the number of disasters and the number of individuals affected by these events. As you look to the sky, remember that the stars and the planets, for thousands of years, helped guide our ancestors in their quest to determine future events. They used the power of science and astronomy to better understand the natural world in preparation for perilous events on the earth. What they knew, and what we are beginning to understand, is this: the sky hides the night behind it. It shelters all life that lies beneath it from the horrors that lie above. It makes perfect sense, because it is from the sky that all things will be revealed, and for which all things will come to pass. Thanks for watching.